Hey everyone, this is Karen Waxman, founder of Retail MBA. Today we're going to be talking about selling to Thrifty Foods. See if you have a great consumer product that you think should be in their stores. This little training will walk you through what to do and how to get started today. Also, please watch this video to the very end as we will be adding additional content to help you on your journey of selling to stores. Also, please like, subscribe, comment below. We appreciate you. Karen Waxman, Retail MBA. Let's get started on today's training. So let's talk about Thrifty Foods. First of all, they are a retailer that not a lot of people are thinking about because they are mostly located in Canada. And so a lot of my clientele is throughout the world, but maybe they don't even think about Canada. And so the reason I like to share these little trainings is because it gives you some ideas of other places to sell to that you might not consider. The thing about Thrifties is that they are a retailer that has not that many stores that they're responsible for. I think they have like 20 stores in Vancouver and some other places, but they're owned by a corporation called Sobeys, which is the largest chain in Canada with well over 1,500 stores. And so the reason I mention this is because a lot of times when you're dealing with a grocery chain, the first thing is that you want to always find out who their main company is, because you could actually start out by selling to this small little chain and then going to the larger Sobeys chain, which could make you a lot of money. So let me explain. When you are selling to a retailer that has multiple brands under one main company, that means that they're usually working together and they're all selling through their main vendor portal. So they usually create a software system that's convenient, that works for all the different chains that they're responsible for. And so when a vendor becomes a vendor, they fill out a bunch of forms and they submit their information, and then they get a vendor number. They're in their system as a vendor. The thing is that that vendor number might work for the other chains that they own. So if you went directly to, say, a Thrifty Foods and submitted your product to them following our hopeful instructions, as we have time-tested proven methods on how to sell to these retail chains, and you submit your product to them, and then you get a vendor number to this smaller chain in the Canadian area, then you could conceivably go to Sobeys and say, hey, I'm already in your system. And I could be a vendor very easily because I'm already selling to Thrifty Foods. Why does that matter? Because if they're sharing the same system, the buyer at Sobeys doesn't have to actually fill out a lot of forms in order for you to become a vendor. And she really likes that. Big chain stores tend to be busy and they don't always want to fill out forms to submit new vendors. A lot of times it's a lot of work for them. And so they sometimes pass on products because they don't really want to do that extra paperwork, but you're saving them a lot of time by already being in their system. It's usually a little bit easier to go after the smaller chain than the bigger chain. If this doesn't work, you can try Sobeys and then go back to Thrifty Foods. The idea here is that they all share the same software systems typically for vendors, and that could benefit you tremendously. There obviously will be additional things you got to submit, but that is a great way to get started with selling to these retail chains. The next thing is, if you are willing to go to Canada and walk around, you can find out if they have local buying programs. Most grocery chains have the ability to buy on an individual level because they're dealing with perishable foods. Obviously, if you are owning a grocery chain, you don't want the food to go bad, so you definitely need vendors to be able to buy from very quickly and so forth. So being able to sell to one individual store is usually possible with grocery chains. So something to consider is going to the store manager and saying, hey, I'd love to sell to you locally. And a lot of times they have the ability to buy on a local level. All chain stores typically have corporate buyers, but sometimes they have local buyers as well for one individual store. The reason that's interesting to you is because you don't always have to go and sell to all of their stores. Sometimes that scares prospective vendors because they don't want to overwhelm themselves and sell to tons and tons of stores. So the idea of selling to one individual store sounds pretty exciting to people. And so the bottom line is you could conceivably sell to a chain store but only sell to one individual store. And that's very exciting for people who maybe are a little bit nervous and or who are just trying to get their foot in the door, or they want to tell other retailers that, hey, I'm selling to this chain store in Canada, which makes them look good in the United States anyhow, because that means that you're an established brand and you have proof of concept. So those are some things to think about in regards to selling to Thrifty Foods. In general, going to a grocery chain, you're always going to possibly deal with a distributor. Distributors tend to work with grocery chains closely. This isn't the case for other industries, but for grocery, the distributor basically manages a lot of the relationships with the vendors. So don't be alarmed, but you might have to deal with distributors when working with a grocery chain. And if you could work with a grocery, that could be a way to get in the door. The reason I mention this is a distributor will take a piece of the action. They're going to ask for some revenue, obviously, in exchange for their efforts. Usually it's 20 to 30% of your bottom line would have to go to a distributor, work with them, but they are the ones who are managing the relationship with the corporate retailer, because of the fact that with groceries and food, they really need streamlined solutions for their stuff to get into stores fast so that they don't lose out on a lot of money if the food goes bad or whatever. And so distributors tend to manage all of the shipping and the distribution and all the stuff into their stores. And so that may come up for you. And there are solutions to making sure that you actually leverage the distributor relationship for other retailers. And if you want to learn how to do all that, we explain everything in detail in our time tested proven systems at retailmba.com. Everything we teach, we have tested ourselves, and we would love the opportunity to help you get into chain stores in the fraction of the time cost that you deserve. This is Karen Waxman, Retail MBA. I hope these little golden nuggets helped you. And if you want to learn more, click on the links below or go to retailmba.com. Thanks so much.